It gives me great pleasure to welcome onto the show General Mahinder Puri, who was commanding one of the divisions there at Kargil. I met you, sir, about 10 years ago today in Kargil, in Dras. And I remember you telling me at that time some of the problems that you were facing. So we will try and see whether any of those have been rectified now or whether they have not actually been rectified. Mr. B.G. Varghese, it's a great pleasure to have you with us. He's a member of the Subrahmanyam Committee on Kargil. Figured out what some of the things were that went wrong in Kargil, and I'm not sure whether you think they've been fixed or not. It gives me great pleasure to welcome also Manoy Krishnadhar, who's former Joint Director of the IB, who also has extremely strong views on all that's happened. And Kiran Rijiju is joining us, who's the MP from Arunachal Pradesh. When we wonder whether any more Kargils can happen, I think one of the states that we do turn our attention to is Arunachal Pradesh. Jampuri, let me in fact start with you. What, to your mind, as one of the people who commanded the fighting men in Kargil 10 years ago, what do you think the main lessons were?
Well, I'll start with putting the things in the correct perspective. My division was deployed in a place called Sharifabad in the valley, looking after the counterinsurgency operations. When things somewhere in mid-May had crystallized as to what were the Pakistani intentions, my division was moved to Dras and Mashko area, and I was given the operational responsibility to take over this sector on 1st of June. And I think the major lesson which we must look into is that we were fighting in inhospitable terrain under inclement weather conditions against an enemy who had surprised us and taken us totally by surprise. Limited resources were at our disposal. And the fact that the division fought heroically, I think, goes a lot in the character of the young officers and the men and the junior commissioned officers who laid down their lives for the country.
Right. Now, you identified at least 3 items there, which I think were some of the major lessons. An enemy which took us by surprise. We were not necessarily well equipped to fight a battle in that particular terrain. Now, let me just in fact start off with these two, because both of those should not necessarily have happened. So, Kargil, why do you think both those things happened? Taken by surprise and not equipped. We know that we have boundaries with our enemies in high Himalayan terrain. Why were we not equipped to fight a battle? And why were we taken by surprise?
Surprise, I think, because we took the Pakistanis on trust. Both sides had a gentleman's agreement that in winter they would change their postures and leave some of these very inhospitable regions unguarded.
Mr. Dhar, intelligence failure is what it was blamed for Kargil. It actually is blamed for a lot of things. It was blamed for Mumbai attacks, everything. Was there an intelligence failure? And have we learned the lessons in the years since then?
There has been or had been intelligence failure. In addition to the armed forces, one of the intelligence agencies of the country, which looks after the foreign intelligence, are empowered and designated to patrol the most inhospitable areas, even at the peak winter, whether it is in China border on Sikkim side or Dras Kargil side or Arunachal side.
Okay.
Our checkpost administration was handed over to that particular agency after division of work, and that agency miserably failed, not only on the ground patrolling, but also aerial survey. Taking a country into trust, which is reputed for breaking all trusts of all throughout the history, how can we depend on such a word or trust only? Where was the trust? Was there an agreement between India and Pakistan?
Okay. It was the India government at that point. Did we trust Pakistan too much?
There was definite lapses. But at the end of the day, lapses have taken place across the world. Lapse took place in the United States of America. 9/11 happened there.
Tuba.com